Welcome back to DCTV for us. Um, Now, in this particular episode, I want to show you some examples of some things that, again, become common sense. So, we've learned that Johnny does what Johnny does basically because our integrity is shot. We've lied to him. We haven't followed through with anything that we said we would do. Um, and when we do, it's usually something that they soon forget or they get used to. Now, before I go any further, I want to keep in touch with reality. I don't want to get into some thinking mode that isn't feasible or is just impossible. So, let me say this. Are we ever going to stop violence altogether? No, not going to happen. That element will always be with us. As long as time stands and as long as time has stood, we've had violence. That's just what people do. And sometimes that violence is turned inwardly, which I think that's what's happened in this case, is we're punishing ourselves because we have not been diligent in the discipline of those people whose lives we're in charge of, namely our children. So, having said that, what I'm offering here is a way to look at this with a little common sense. So, I propose that our teachers and our citizens be well armed and well trained in the use of firearms. Now, this is why. I want to put this in a way that you can actually kind of put yourself in the position to see this in real time for yourself. So let's just say, and I'm not a big doomsday person, but let's just say that doomsday kind of came, and we're all here, and let's say that you and your family are starving and you need food. Okay, so you've been in a community for a long time, and you kind of know people's comings and goings, and you sort of know what's going on in your own town. And I think that's true for most people. Small town, big town, it doesn't matter. All the way from you know here in Lancaster, Kentucky to New York City, you know something about your neighbors. So let's say that your family's starving and you need to get food, and the neighbors around you, you know well. So neighbor A has always been well armed. He doesn't lie. And if he tells you he's going to shoot you if you come on his property, chances are you're going to look at neighbor B. So neighbor B is the kind of person who always says, "Well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that," not, but he never does anything he says. Um, he doesn't know anything about firearms. You know he doesn't have any in his house. If he got one, he probably wouldn't know how to properly fire the thing. There's a chance that he might even injure himself and those in his household just by using a firearm. So if that person needed, are you going to go against neighbor A or neighbor B? Well, the obvious choice here is neighbor B because you know he's not equipped to defend himself. So you can go in and pretty much take over. And then at that point, of course, the power rush comes in for some people, and they may just even decide to destroy neighbor B altogether, walk into their theater and kill everybody or as many as they can. And so that becomes the scenario that we're faced with in reality and in truth. So we got to think about what we can do. So what does actually work? Well, I'm going to take you back to school days. Remember that bully that was in your classroom? And he picked on who? The people who wouldn't fight back. Or they weren't able to, they weren't equipped to. But what if those people that he bullied got together as a community, and the next time this bully attacked someone, the whole group came down upon him? I think it only takes one time for that person. So attack and be a bully again, they'll eventually either get out or they'll conform. So, this is going to sound very brutal to some people I know, but it's just a suggestion. If we had a law on the books, and we do, because you're allowed to protect yourself, that's just an American right. You have a right as a citizen of the United States to defend yourself. So I say, the next time that one of these stray Johnnies run in and try to shoot up a place, if there's well-armed citizens, well-trained citizens, they just shoot him and leave his body there. Let it sit there. And let everybody watch what's going on. Let them see. Hey, this is what happens. This is what happens when you get out of control. So, I want to submit to you the idea that we all band together and that we become well armed, and not just in firearms, but in common sense. I have heard so much about the mental health issues, and I agree that that comes into play, and I'm going to talk about that in the next episode. But first, let's look at this. With the Johnnies of the world, as I said before, they're never all going to go away. There's no way to eliminate them completely. But what we can do is strike a little fear in them. It's hard to get respect without a little fear. Now, when I say fear, I do, in fact, mean respect for someone else's authority, at least over themselves and their community, their household, etc. So, with the mental health issue, I think that maybe the problem is we become so busy we don't care. And I believe that our actions, or rather inactions, have caused a lot of what we call mental health problems. And I'm going to go into that in this next episode. Until then, thanks for watching. Peace.